Metaphor. You can be so heavenly until you are no earthly good. Yeah. Yeah.
Wait a minute, read that over again.
Read that again, because when I read it,
That's the word.
Yeah.
It said you can be so heavily bound until you are no heavenly good.
No earthly good.
No earthly good.
Ain't that something?
Hello?
Yeah. You can't just talk about me like that, man.
Hey, so we can find so many reasons to postpone doing and receiving our goods. It's not the right time. If it's not for me, I'll get it. I'm waiting for a sign. I'll do it later. I'll receive my rewards in heaven. Mm-hmm. I guess it's not for me. I don't want it. Need it anyway. These are so few of the ways we conceive ourselves not to follow our dreams. The belief in a hereafter paved with gold is no reason to live in poverty now. Right. As above, so below means whatever we can, whatever we can have later, we can have right now.
That's right.
If heaven is a place prepared for kings and queens, we want to do our work on earth so we won't show up looking or acting like paupers.
Ooh, hallelujah.
Hello. Yeah.
Hallelujah.
There is no earthly reason for me to delay my goods.
That's right.
And the reflection says, what do you dream of doing, being, or having? What are you doing today to manifest your vision?
it's gonna be good. I feel like give him some snaps.
Right. Yeah, James Earl Jones should have read that one.
Yes, yes, so, right. Ooh. So, who want to take this first?
I'll take the first week of it. And I'll say this just or say it on the tail end. Now just think about it. Everything man created, he got off the earth. We didn't have to go to Mars, Jupiter, nowhere else. Everything come off the earth. Anything you see man-made came out of a man's mind or woman. The point is, the knowledge of how to put that together has been all the time. In other words, the Romans could have had a 747 jet. You know, they could have had a train and all that. They didn't have they had no one to seek the knowledge. You know, and there's a lot of reasons for that. But the point I'm making is that the knowledge exists for itself. It didn't exist for man. It exists for itself, whether you find it or not. So the answer's there, you know, if you want it. But you have to seek for it. And that's what they tell you. If you seek, you'll find it.
That's
All right,
right.
okay, Brother Harris, all right. All right.
I guess I can go next.
Good
I never understood when my mama used to tell me, boy, you know earthly good, you're doing wrong. I guess we all done something in life.
Hold on.
We all done something in life that we have to look back at. Maybe I didn't understand what it means because I was doing it. But today, I get myself more with my higher power to understand that, you know, my life is going up. It's not going down. Because when I was out here doing all this ugly stuff, being the way I was, I guess that's what I was saying. That was no earthly good, right? You can be, hold on. You can be so heavily bound until you are no earthly good. So we all know we done something bad, but we ain't bad as what the earth is, because the earth is going to see a lot of stuff that's going to fade away. But with our love that we have for one another, we can find ourselves being back to surface this earth to do good. So for me, I had to remember back when I was a little bitty boy. I guess it was just a saying, but now I see it again in the reading, and it's showing me that I am earthly good because I'm still living from the time when I was little, came up to grow up to know something different now. You know, I came back, man, because I know one thing. This group been powerful to me. It's been keeping me alive. It's been keeping me out of prison. It's been keeping me on the right track. So I had to come back and see y'all, you know, even though I'm gonna disappear again, that don't mean that I don't love y'all and I'm not here. I'm here in spirit with y'all. You know, and God got me to be able to know that I'm around a group that's caring for me, that's loving on me. Even when my own family ain't loving on me, this group has loved on me enough to get me to love on them, even when they don't understand. You know, it's hard to love on your family. It's like with this, I wanted my brother, his son, to get the corona. I fought with it because I know it was gonna be a fight because they don't want to listen. They always think, Calvin, you ain't never been right. Just like this thing was saying. But I gotta love my brother even though he don't understand. I changed. He might be still caught up in some things, but I still pray and ask God to look over it. So with the coronavirus, they were fighting. And I think I went through a lot last that my group was getting the shot. And they didn't understand, man, come on in, come on, get what you need. And they got mad at me. They were like, no, I'm not going to, my nephew said, no, I'm not going to take the shot. I said, man, listen, even though we are in the world, God said, don't be a fool. You know, and he's been mean to me, but I still love it. You know, I got it to my point now where I like to be able to forgive.
How many feet?
And as long as I can forgive and move forward, I'm doing the right thing. So, being back here, man, it's difficult for me. So I'm like back in that same place where I didn't have a place that I could lay my head. But my hometown is down there. And I come back here just to be able to share with y'all the love y'all showed me, man, to be here.
Well, we're glad you're here, brother. And those who don't know, Cav was always, even when he was out of town, every week Cav would be on that laptop online. So Calvin stayed connected. You stayed connected, brother. So, I mean, you might not always be here, but you always been connected. You know what I'm saying? And so, we're glad to have you back. Everybody give Pops a hand for being late. We're glad you're here, man. We love you, and it's nice to see you.
Thank you, Will.
All right, man.
All right. So I'll go next.
I'd like to chime in on this.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
no,
cool.
What it says, you can be so heavenly bound until you're not no earthly good. And I look at that and I think by myself, you can take this, you take being heavenly bound and being earthy and take it to one extreme all the way, where nobody don't even want to talk to you because all you got to say is, you need to get saved, and then the other is when you're no earthly good, that means you don't care about what nobody thinks. So I think that I'm fighting with that and I'm trying to come into a medium of, spirituality and which is work ethics or helping others is I'm beginning to find out that that's where my where I'm heavily bound at. But you can take it too far where nobody wants to be around you, you don't have nothing to say, but you need to get saved, or you're full of the devil or whatever, that you can be too heaven, act like you're too heavily bound, and so I think you have to come into yourself, and I have to come into myself. I mean, and have um, where they don't tip, that the scale stay the same. So,
Hey, I love y'all, but I got to go, Pop. I mean, I'm wanting to be here, but my stomach got upset.
You ain't got to announce that. Just go ahead.
All right. I see y'all, man, next week.
All right. Okay,
Give him a little love.
It was strange because I was thinking about it today. It was kind of weighing on me. I was thinking like, it says here, there's just a few these are just a few of the ways we convince ourselves not to follow our dreams. The belief in hereafter paid with gold is not reason to live in poverty now, as above or below means whatever we can have later, we can have right now. If heaven is a place to prepare king between we want to do our work on earth, so we won't show up later, looking and acting like helpers. So what I was thinking about today, I was thinking like when I was younger, I just had this free spirit, man. And it was like I would risk or try anything to, to make my situation better, right?
Mhm.
And it was like I had no fear, I had no doubt, I wasn't second guessing myself. But as I grew older, all that doubt creeped in, all that second guessing creeped in, all of that, the fear of, well, if I fail, I'm going to have to deal with those kind of consequences. When you're young, you don't think about those things. But as you get older, you think about those things and they stack up more and more and more. And I was just thinking to myself, like, wow, when we get older, we kind of lose that freedom because we are so unconsciously and consciously bound by that those doubts, that fear of failure, that fear of not being what we feel we should be, So it's all that doubt, all of that worry, all that concern is kind of creeps up. You know what I mean? And it really, really stifles us when we get older. When the truth of the matter is the same thing that was going on when we were younger, that fearlessness, that go-getter spirit, we can still have that. Well, I can still have that being older, But I often find myself like putting things off because I don't want that to happen. Putting things off because I don't want this to happen. Whereas when I was young, I'm gonna go get on this right now. I'm not gonna waste no time. Oh, this happened now. I like it now. And I have to really, really break that. This really, really spoke to me on that. Wow. It really, really spoke to me on that. Like I should not live my life always second guessing myself, always doubting myself. It's good to have some of that, but not on everything, especially when you know the outcome of something. Why doubt something when you know the outcome of it? You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like I am blocking the success that I could have or I could have had without those doubts, without those, you know what I mean? I could have taken certain steps. I could have did certain programs. I could have, you know what I mean? I could have done many things that I just kind of didn't do because that doubt. Wow.
I wrote this, if you don't mind me reading this real quick. I said, I remember, it ain't a poem. I remember being in prison having a conversation with a lifer about manifestation. We spoke in depth about fate and destiny. I made comments about the Lamb's Book of Life, explaining that every action man was to take was already written, perceived, and known by the Most High. He listened, shaking his head all the while until interrupting me mid-sentence. In a very sage-like manner, he explained loudly. He said, "Cuz, stick out your hand." So I impulsively stuck out my hand, only to hear him retort with a question. He said, "Cuz," he inquired, "has anything dropped in your hand yet?" So I foolishly took a glance at my hand, at my palm, as if some blessing was going to have miraculously landed there, to only see sweat and dirty fingernails. "Nothing dropped in it yet, has it?" he concluded. "No," I responded. So from this, I learned that practical goals set to reach the quote-unquote promised land trumps religious ideology every time. I feel like so many times, I was taught money is the root of all evil. I was taught build your treasures in heaven. So when it says you can be so heavenly bound until you have no earthly good, meaning that you want your good life when you die. When you die, you want this is how I think. When I'm not religious, so at one point in time, when I died, I thought I was gonna get my piece of the pie. And now, from my perspective, I want my piece of the pie right now.
Okay. All right. All right. All right. I want to piggyback off of some he just said and some Anaya said. I was thinking about this. So you know how we talk about, and you know, Pops he talked on this a couple of times. And actually, I've been saying this for years about with weed. You know how it's a drive killer. But you know, when I was growing up, I was raised up in a community that was using religion in a way as to facility undermine your ambition. You know, like what the brother said, right? You know, mine is the root of all evil, and really, it says more than that. You know, it don't just say that, but you know, but that you used to hear that all the time, and then you used to, it used to be, it used to come across as though we just didn't like money, like it was something wrong with being ambitious. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And I just and you know I thought about that when I was incarcerated, and I I thought about that and how it shaped my attitudes. You know, as I was growing up, against money, this and that, and and even when I came into a awakening, I still had to shake those ingrained beliefs about money. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing wrong with money. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, money can be beautiful. Money can be good. You know what I'm saying? And ambition is even better. Because even when the money dries up, if you got the ambition, you can get it again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just this you can be so heavily bound until you know earthly good. You know, you always have your head up in the sky, and you're not, you keep it up there all the time that you forgetting to take care of your business on this earth while you live. And I just and I'm just now I'm very ambitious now, and industrial and it doesn't hold water now, but it used to.
That's good. That's good, dude. For me, my interpretation, I think it's a two-part of it. I think the first one says something to me different than the bottom says. I think that the first one says to me, it's almost like when everybody's been loved by a person who is so in tune with their religion in a way that their interpretation is the law, and it looks down the nose at other people, other cultures, other communities, and so heavenly bound in that way, where you are running off of your interpretation of whatever religion or faith that you practice to make you know earth is good. So that's what the first message speaks to me. The second one is what it says below. It's that the doubt that we instill in ourselves, the doubt that was framed into us from our upbringing, from people who never achieved or were afraid to achieve more in life. And so you were saying you could do this and that when you were a younger age because you weren't shaped by anybody's fears. You weren't shaped by anybody's expectations, And then so we learn to let doubt settle in over time because we're shaped by somebody else's experiences, somebody else's failures, and somebody else's fears, And so the first part, that's what it says to me. The second part, that's what it says to me. And so, and then the work, that comes along with that. Like, how do you retrain your train of thought? How do you replace the old thinking? What's the new thinking that's going to come in? Like, we all have to actively decide, what are the new messages we're going to be telling ourselves and how are we going to stand on them? Like, is it by looking in the mirror, waking up every day and saying you are worthy of success, you're beautiful, you're loving, you're kind, you know? Is it by acts of service to others? You know, for me, it's a little mixture of everything because to give back and to be of service to others is a reflective of the dues that I pay to be more selfless than selfish. You know, because selfish was a part of my journey for so long because I was carved out by other people's expectations who were also selfish. And so it's what I've seen, it's what I learned. But to unlearn, to recreate the message and to do something different, that's why we're here, because that's our personal power. ELP, right? That's it. You know, I'm finished speaking, but you slide back to the board so you can slide some more people in terms of more people. Move around, Chris, you slide along. And, who else can get in there? Is that some of the boys at home? Yeah.
Having my
See you, son. Maybe it's some in the kitchen. Yeah, look at this little leader.
chicken in that thing.
I haven't seen you in a while. What's happening? Oh, you just here the week before that? Yeah. And how's Bella?
I don't know.
Okay. That's my answer. Well, I'm gonna just jump in for a quick minute. Thank you, Will. It's good to see everybody tonight. I don't know what it is, man. Seemed like to me that exhale we had after the verdict, it's not lasting for long. Because I feel this kind of tenseness in the community. I did hear, as you all know, we prepared a videotape for the brothers and sisters in prison. I wish you could have seen that, Donna. And they showed it. They've been showing it, and we got some feedback from it that said it was finding its way. You know, and it was real good. But there's something I want to get at. If I can do it. I want to remind you of the 5 types of self. Many of you who have been in the class, you've learned the 5 types of self, but you know it's been a while since you reviewed it, and it'll escape you because domestic life is a robber of your knowledge and information about yourself. Domestic life, hey Sherrod, come on, find it, pull a chair from somewhere out of the closet. Domestic life, I mean, it's a beautiful thing, right? Yeah. But there's some detractors in there too. Right. You get it? And so I've been noticing some of us in here struggling, with some things. I'm just going to try to remind us that the struggle doesn't have to be alone. You don't have to be alone in this struggle. We all in here, every one of us, so you remember that all of us in here have to, we all going through some of the same things. Sometimes we just go through it at different times. You get it? You might think, oh yeah, Pop don't know what I'm going through. And then you're right in some way, but then on the other side, you're wrong because I done already been down that street. And so in the timing area, I may have already gotten over that piece,
But the struggle to get over that piece was large. And I think we've just been struggling a little bit with our relationships and even with our own self. So I just want to remind us real quick about the 5 parts of the self, the 5 parts of the self. The self has 5 unique parts. Each one of those parts are functioning on their own and together. And that is the baseline of the self. However, there's more to the self than just the 5 parts, but I only ever taught the 5 parts because it was the baseline. Say the baseline.
The baseline.
Yeah, it was the bottom line, the lowdown right there, the 5 parts of self. I don't want to go to the board because of the artwork that's up there, but I'm going to show you from here because the 5 parts of self is on this wall. Each one of us, all we have to do is be born. We have 5 operating parts. I'm just going to talk to you about the 3rd part, the environmental. Say environmental. Environmental self. Say that.
Environmental self.
Yeah. The environmental self, everybody in here's environmental self was impacted by your birth and the people who were in your life at the time of birth. Think about who was in your life at the time of birth. Like, I had myself, I just using myself as an example. I had a grandmother and grandfather. My grandfather, he worked on the railroad. So he was a wage earner, but that was a good job for Negroes at that time. With my grandfather. My grandmother, when I came, she was the manager of a house of prostitution. She was the manager. And she would hit a lick to her own self, you know what I mean? And later on, I found that out, but I didn't know that right then and there. But then my mom, she was already in the world. My mom was a hooker, right? And so I would always, this was who was in my environment, say environment. And so I got a picture, say a picture. A picture. I got a little picture of myself from the people who were in my environment. Yes, I want to go slow with this. And so, see, whatever's in your environment, you pick up on, whether you realize it consciously or not, you pick up on these things. And in some cases, they become little curses that you have to overcome as you mature. Say mature. Yeah. Now, maturity has two parts to it. Maturity, come on, we can still slide back, still curtain slide down. Slide down. Come on, get in. Come on, sis, slide down. Right. Look at you, right. So, let me show you something. I'm gonna try not to be too long. But the environment that you're in, the environmental self as a child, think about what was around you as a child. And the impact on you is huge. If your parents were educators, right? Now, my younger children, their parents are educators. Mm-hmm. They don't have the same environmental circumstance that I did. The reason why that is because somewhere along the line, I got over myself. So get over myself. Get over myself. It's a big thing. Yeah. And the self that I'm trying to get over is that part that I met in the environment that I thought was me. But the devil is a lie. Yes, he is. Okay, watch this. Watch this now. So then the physical self, part 2, the physical self, that is your body, your operating body. And you see me now, and I'm moving around, I'm doing all of these things because I have some control over my physical self, some control over my body. and I can perform functions with my physical self. This is my tool that operates in the community of self. My physical self is my flesh and blood. You get it? And so we all are born with all of the exact same consistencies in the physical self. Is that right or wrong?
That's right.
You would think it should be easier for us to come together as a human race than it is. But the reason why it's difficult is because of what comes up in the environment. And in the environment, you begin to say things to your children and talk about out loud to your children about this and that and that and this, and your children inherit it. They pick it up. Any racism, any of that kind of stuff, all that kind of stuff is picked up through the airways, like a microwave, it's through the air. It's like an attitude. You can pick up an attitude. Come into a room and two people is arguing. They're arguing real hard. And you come into the room and all of a sudden, now they stop talking when you get in the room, but you can just feel in the air that they're arguing, and you turn around and leave the room and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I interrupted you," even though they didn't say nothing to you. But you can pick it up in the airways. This is how things are communicated in the environment. This begins to create a persona. I'm going on too long with this because this is not what I want to talk about, but I got to give you the baseline. Say baseline.
Baseline.
Yeah, the persona, the personal self. So these are the traits you start to develop. I started to develop little traits. And, when I was a little younger, this and that, I started, I was really, like a girl chaser, but I didn't even understand why that was. I was thinking that it was just, that's how we all, how boys, like we all was doing it. But something about me was different. Like, I was different. I was hawkish on it, right? And and then this and that, and I had all these proclivities and whatever that seemed like other people my age didn't have them. I didn't even want to talk about them because I was embarrassed, to say, well, you like that, but boy, I like these other things, and and so we just talk about basic stuff, you know what I mean? I'm like, no, there's a whole package here that y'all ain't even into. But I would say that I was at least wise enough, Selma, not to say nothing. So, people would start, try to wear me out and say, something wrong with Shane, he's sick, Hey, and you know what? So eventually those personal traits begin to show up in the tribe. In my tribe. The tribe is the people you grow up around and your world. Say the world.
The world.
The tribe is the world. All of those rest, those are 4 parts of the self. All of those rest on the first part of yourself, which is your soulless self, your soulless nature. Solomon, he think I want to see him. He give me all these video calls, and I'm like, I don't want to see you. Just call me regular. I'm not a video calling person. If you just come to your family, they out of town, and you know what you're thinking, okay. But you just gonna call me. You over here right on Bryant. You know what I mean? You want to look at him like, I love him. Negro, please. Look what I'm saying to you now. Here, the BA, the soul and spirit of the self, the God's breath that allows the flesh to come alive. You heard about the valley of them dry bones. You know what I mean? And then he said, command these bones to come alive. And he gave a command, and the bones began to live because of the breath of the Creator. Right? Now watch this. Watch this, what I'm trying to tell you. The soulless nature of you is where all of your heart is at, and your emotions and your loving and all of those things. But sometimes those other 4 parts become so heavy, you don't have any relationship with the soulless nature of yourself, which gives you a prophetic utterance to get over any situation you got in. anything that you were in, you already have the ability to get out of it, but you have to use all the parts in order for that to take place. That is the baseline of the self. There is also resting on top of it. Anybody get that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's also something called the logical community of self. Say the community of self.
Community of self.
That rests on top of this baseline. It sits right here. The self is very complicated, right? You have a lot of things going on in yourself. I want to write it down, but because of the artwork and all of this and the people, I'm not going to do it. It looks something like this. I just quickly drafted it out for you to look. This, the parts of self, the community of self, rest on top of these 4 or 5 parts. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Let me tell you about these 7 parts. The first part of the self is the drive. Say drive.
Drive.
I want you to just look at it right here. Drive. An automobile is actually constructed on the self concept. The self wants to get someplace. And the self created an automobile to get the self to the place that it wants to get. Right. And it uses 2 drives. Say 2 drives. The automobile right now, you came here and uses 2 drives. And the 2 drives are and that's it. Now, neutral is listed, and it does play a role, but not in the drive. It plays a role in the meditation. Say meditation. Sometimes we don't use neutral well enough. We should be in neutral, but we jump in. Oh, look. And look at Dougie Fresh. Well, I love Fresh. You've been missing. Give Fresh a hand. And in the drives, watch this. In the drives, there's forward and back, and the drives are a part of the self's community, you see. And in order for you to carry out any of the things of the physical, you have to utilize the drives. But sometimes, listen at this, sometimes the things you pick up in your environmental will trick you into going forward with your drive when you really should go back. Ooh, that's so good. Some things that I ran to, I should have ran away from. Hallelujah. But I didn't have good sense. And I believed that it was finger popping and something slick. And so I got interested in that slick stuff, and I thought that was me. And I adapted it as me. But I used my drive to go forward with that slick stuff. Come on. See what I'm saying? But the 2 drives, I want you to get them. And then watch this. The next one is called the senses. Say the senses. Yeah, I'm not going to go through all the senses, but the 5 senses, are see and hearing, smell, taste, touch, all of that. And these are important. The senses are very important when we reach out and touch one another. Donald is always up here reaching for Curtis. Curtis needs to get here. He want to be with his brothers. He want to be in the midst. But we using the senses and instincts to say, you know what, I'm grabbing it. Yeah. You get it? I'm grabbing it. And then he goes into the drive that makes the thing happen. Right. I grabbed him tonight because you always doing it. And then he just happened to be, I was grabbing Rhea and he was having to be calling me at the same time. I said, I'm coming. And Will, that's why I was late. I should apologize. But you know what? It happens to the best of us. Sometimes we're late. Watch this. The third part of this analysis is the ego. And this really, I want to drill down a little bit on it. Say the ego. Ego. Right here. Right here. Look. Yeah, look. The ego. The ego is where you mess around and allow your like or your want and the desire to appease self. You want whatever you want so hard that the ego will begin to take over your drive. Come on. Now, see, if you're going to drive your car, you can't just let anybody take it over. I tell you what, now in my lifetime, now here is the electric car that doesn't need a driver. I'm going to tell you something right now. Cynthia, I will never drive in one of those. That's just me. You may later say, oh yeah, I'm going to jump in the driverless car and I'm going on down the street. And I'm going to pray for you. But I'm never going to get in. And let me tell you why. Because I don't trust anybody to drive me better than I can drive myself. Now, the ego, though, especially when you're getting into the street world, the ego, you start feeding it and you start separating out, separating out from your family that's living their life right. Because you really start getting shame. You're ashamed of your behavior, but you don't really know you're ashamed because the people you're hanging around don't act ashamed. And so everybody act like it's all right, right? And so, but it separates you away from the people who do have it right. And you can't hear from them because the people you're spending your time with are the people that don't have it right. And then we believe that our ego is giving us the right information. And then we got a little bit of the truth that lends itself to what we're talking about. Yeah, so, we are oppression and all these isms and all these other things are true and real. But the fact of the matter is they alone don't have to keep you trapped in a particular lifestyle that is never going to end up getting you anywhere. That the streets will never allow you to win. I'm telling you, I played them a long time. I saw what they hit for. Snake eyes. I'm telling you now, it'll never let you win. Yeah. Huh? But it looks so good. It's a pity for me. This is what the sister was saying. Watch it. She said, I play the street life because there's no place I can go. See, that's a lie right there. There was some place you could go. Right. Street life. It's the only life I know. Street life. There's 1,000 parts to play. Street life. See, look how we're talking in here. I see I'm in the right room. See, and I'm gonna take what you have to have in order for that song to come true in your life. You have to be full of yourself. You have to have given over the drivership of the car to the ego. I'm going to come back to that because I want to get to the other part. Now, there is also something called the memory. Say the memory. Memory. Yeah, this is terrible because a lot of times I'm thinking about my sisters who are in the room, and sometimes we, us men, have did y'all so bad. Wait a second. Yeah. You keep on with that dirty mistreating, I'm going to kick you in the behind so your heart stops beating. But man, look, we was dirty with what we was doing. And we was mistreating them. I'm trying to help somebody now, but I'm just using my own self because I ain't ashamed. Watch this. So look, I messed around and I hurt a lot of people, man. I hurt a lot of people. And people was married. I didn't care about being married, all of that kind of stuff. I had no sex for what is married. Nobody in my family, in my environment was married or successful at it anyway. And so there's no sense of you trying to talk that marriage stuff to me. I'm like, look, I'm gonna meet you at 7, make sure you're there. And I really meant what I was saying. Because I'm in drive. Say drive. Yeah, I was using my personal power to stay in drive and be lost in my ego. Now, at the same time, I failed to remember. Come on. I feel something coming over me. I started like one person, but I feel like 2 right now. Okay. Because I feel the memory. See, the memory piece, there was always people in your family was trying to pull you to the right thing. There was always somebody trying to, give you a what's up and really, whatever. But we thought we were so sick that we couldn't really hear nothing from them. It was too late. The environmental part of ourselves had already seeped in. And in that part of seeping in, it had become a part of our life, our flesh. We oozed it. Is that right or wrong? That's right. Now watch this. And so in that memory, sometimes, the memory of of what other men have done to you, females, I'll come back to the males, it won't allow you to love or be loved by the man who's currently in your life because of the memory you have of the man who was in your life, and the man or men who were in your life was so low down and stuck on themselves that they couldn't possibly love you. There was no room in the end for you. But the sex was good, and we popped good corn, and we made it seem like it was something. The music was right. Come on now. Am I talking good to anybody? I'm trying to get us to a point. This is the introduction right here. All right. But I'm saying now, memory can sometimes, you can be lost in it. Watch it. You can mess around and always think about the past. You living today, say today. Today. You living it right now, say right now. Right now. But you spend the majority of your time thinking about the past. It's because you're using your drive to be stuck in yesterday. I'm talking good to somebody. And so therefore, nothing that you want to happen good for you can happen because you're stuck in yesterday. And the person that you're meddling with, he might be stuck in yesterday too. And both of y'all trying to drink and fool each other that is something real. I can spend more time on memory. Say memory. Memory. Yeah. But I want to go to reason. Remember the Earth, Wind, and Fire song? Sing. Yes, sir. Come on. Reason that right. Right. So what they're singing about there, love it. What they're singing about there is all of the reasons that you come up with for doing this thing you're getting ready to do. But soon as the thing is over, the reasons disappear. They fade away, Will. Yeah. Will took it back to the holy city. I'm gonna hold up now. Hold up, Will. Come on back. Watch this now. But reason is also your ability to rationalize what is taking place in and around your life. What reason, the scripture will say, come and let us reason together. What that means is to sit down and break bread. That's what we kind of doing tonight here. Just pushing some things around, some ideas around. You get it? And so reason is very critical to the community of self, as memory is very critical, as ego is critical. The senses are critical, and the drives are what take you where you got to go. Dexter, I'm coming to you. But watch this. The conscious, say conscious. Conscious. So your conscious will mess around and play games on you. See, look, you can pretend not to have one for many years. I did. You can pretend not to have no conscience for many years. But when conscience decides to play that trouble, look, suddenly you start to realize what you had really done. And it will scare you, Dex. It will scare you because you realize how low down and notorious you were. And for a time there, ego will allow you to forget all of that stuff and wipe out your memory because you give ego the wheel. It can wipe out all these. It can wipe out all these other important parts of the community of self. And so conscience will continue to try to remind you to snap out of it. Somebody say snap out of it. Snap out of it. It'll be knocking at your door trying to get you to pay attention. You'll have another drink or a bump and mess around there and say, shut up to your conscience. But it only lasts for so long. If your conscience is fighting with your ego to take control of the wheel and help you to realize it ain't over till it's over. You still got another chance. Somebody here say a second chance.
Second chance.
Wait a minute, somebody here better say a third chance. I can keep going. Watch this. But the seventh part, number of completion. The seventh part of the community of self that sits over the 5 parts of self. The seventh part is your will. Your will is given to you to allow you to put all of the other community members in line. It gives you the power to make them obey you and to behave in the way you ought to behave. You have to have a willpower. When something in your flesh is asking you to go one direction, but your willpower overrules it.
Right.
Your willpower overrules it and said, hey, I already been down there. I know what that's like. No sense of me going back there no more. I'm trying to help somebody because that's your will. Say my will.
My will.
See, it's your will is also your personal power.
Your ability to
take a new, write a new thought and take an action step. Somebody say action step.
Action step.
And I'm trying to get you to understand that these things are all taking place right now in your body. And they're fighting for the will. Okay. Now I'm going to get to where I was trying to go. I have noticed in my time, I've been messing with ex-offenders now 16 years. And I mean, I was one before that. And, you know, everybody I was messing with was in the street, everybody. So I can say 16 years, but that's just legitimately in the daylight. If you don't want to count to the midnight hours, you know, to be honest with you, I'm still playing some of them cards right now. But you can play some of the midnight cards in the daytime if you know how to use them. You got to mess around and get some wisdom about yourself. Everything you learned wasn't wrong. You just have to learn how to apply it differently so that you get the result that you're trying to get. I'll wait for all the amens to die down. But tonight I want to focus specifically on the will and the ego, because I've noticed since I've been working in the daylight, my sons who have SO, I watched them over the years struggle. You know, year 1, year 2, year 10, somewhere along the line, I caught on to something. And just tonight, I'm gonna share them with you, not in a mean-spirited way, but just in a loving way to say, you know, this is some acquired learning, right? You can't get it in a book and it's not written down anywhere, and I haven't written it anywhere, but it ought to be, because here's what I've been able to ascertain and to acknowledge and to realize about my sons who I love, who are SO. I realized that the ego as a part of the community of self is so strong in them. I realized that somewhere in their past, they have been bruised and hurt. And the low self-esteem that hurt has caused, that bruising has caused them to develop an ego that can be insatiable. And so I find when my pop guys come in with that in their history, but haven't done their own work, really done your own work to know who you are as self. You know, to thine own self is be true. That's on your dollar bill. It's you got to do some work to know yourself well enough to protect yourself against the wiles of the devil. But I'm just gonna break it down here a little bit further. Are you with me right here?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't want you to be mad at me. This is all love. I'm just telling you what I learned. You learned something else, whatever that is, you can say that. But this is what I've learned. So every time I look up my sons who are SOs, they get so preoccupied with that first relationship, this first sexual relationship, conjugal relationship, that this is as if the sex rings all the bells of the community of self. All the bells. It should ring some bells. Say some bells.
Some bells.
Yeah, but if you let it ring all the bells, say all the bells.
All the bells.
Then you have given over drivership to the ego and to that feeling. And in giving over to that feeling, the lust, say lust.
Lust.
And the desires of the flesh, say desire.
Desires of the flesh.
Am I telling the truth here?
Yes, you are.
The desires of the flesh will become so powerful that you will overrule your conscience It'll overrule your senses. It'll overrule your memory, even though you know you just came from the penitentiary on the SO. And so every time that you pull your pants down, you ought to have some idea that you are threatening everything about yourself. Am I in the right place? You should be asking yourself that question. But I have found out, don't be mad at me, I'm just trying to help somebody tonight. I have found out that many of my SOs now, thinking, look, I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm gone. We'll get their little clothes in an alligator bag.
Alligator back. He was back. Alligator. Wow.
I don't know about you.
Yeah.
Get your clothes in a big green garbage bag. The very first ones of those were called alligator bags. And the first ones they was really strong. And then the knockoffs, you can't hardly put nothing in them, right? But you will mess around here and put all your chips in her closet. And wait a minute, she liked you. And you even told her what your issue was. So you believe you're being honest. But who you're not being honest with is yourself. Because when you hit that lick and all them bells go off, oh my goodness. And sex is good, right? But you can't get over to it totally and put all the rest of the community inside of that basket and give the ego the steering wheel, because the ego is going to drive you right off a cliff. It's quiet in this church, right? It's quiet in this church. And some of y'all who are sitting here right now have flirted with the disaster that I'm talking about. Yeah. Now watch this. And you're still flirting with it right now. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to tell you, you have the ability to change the trajectory of yourself in that relationship, but you have to utilize your will or personal power. You have to be able to think a new thought and get yourself somewhere. Some of you have to back up from that. Say back up. Back up. Yeah. Now, just recently, one of my pop guys, I love it. He met somebody and he had stopped coming to me for a couple of weeks. I hadn't seen him. He said, I run into him at Pop One, and he said, Pop, I gotta tell you something. He sat me down on the steps. He said, Pop, I'm moving out. And, I'm engaged. I ain't seen him in 2 weeks. Now look, he wasn't engaged 2 weeks ago. But in 2 weeks, but let me tell you, what it took was for that ego. This is a brother who, in his early development, has been traumatized. Somebody say traumatized. Traumatized. Has anybody in here ever been traumatized? Raise your hand. In his early development, he was traumatized. And in that trauma, it messed with his self concept, right? And give him low self-esteem. Say low self-esteem. Low self-esteem. Come on, sit down right now. Don't, just hurry up, sit down. Yeah, thank you. Hey, Sal, I'm gonna get right to you in a second. Go ahead, you sit right there. Somebody say low self-esteem. Low self-esteem. Yeah, this is where you mess around here and believe everybody else is better than you. And you will always look for the worst in yourself and then hitch on to somebody who acting like they know what they're talking about. Mm-hmm. And then defy the world. This boy stopped coming to group. I mean, period. Stop calling, period. We ain't seen him at all. Nobody can reach him because he's gone on his ego and allowing sex to be the driver of the car. Mm. sex is a beautiful thing, but you can't allow it to be the total driver of your car. You can testify to that. So, here goes Sal right here. Take your hat off, son. Here goes Sal. Don't be mad at me. Sal first came home. I say, Sal, you know, what you doing? You know, you all right? He said, yeah, Papa. And I met somebody. Papa, I met somebody, you know, down to the store. I met somebody. She kind of fine. You know, I met her. I was down to the store. I said, okay. All right, cool. But you know, there's some nice people at the store. You know, so you know, next thing I know, though, Sal ain't never home. He always over at the stove. At the store. No, that chicken wing out right. So, you know, but look, I'm trying to say to him, Sal, you on the wrong page. You are still in transition. You haven't been out of the penitentiary, not even 5 months, not even 4 months. And here you are going on something. I'm just utilizing you. I'm just utilizing you there just because you walked in there on time. That's God. This is all love, by the way. Absolutely. Now watch this. I say, Sal, you can't just stay on home. Stay home. I got him at the pump. I'm saying just stay home. Go visit sometime. That's fine. But look, he was going on it, and he called it out in the ego way. See, he had given drivership of the car over, and she was the driver of the car. Let me tell you about it. She was not on parole. She didn't have no parole agent. None of the above. You dig it? And this automatically started to be a very ugly thing. Sal wanted it to be everything. I love you. Come on. And there's nothing wrong with feeling like that. No, it's not. You know, having open arms. You want somebody to receive you and be honest. You want somebody to share your heart with and share your love with. But that's not everybody. Everybody's not that somebody. And if you don't give yourself a chance, if you don't give yourself an opportunity to first know yourself before you allow yourself to put your entire community in somebody else's hands. Okay. Before we know it, I'm not just talking about him. I'm talking about in general. Before I know it, you know, she's angry with you. Suddenly you show back up at the house. Right? All your stuff in an alligator bag. Yep. Suddenly you back at the house now, talking about Pop. You know, wait a minute, I say to you, look what I say. In a little while, that woman is gonna call the police on you and your agent. Sure, that's what you said. That's sure what you said. Wait a minute. You know Isaac. I just left him. Remember Isaac had baby number 1? Yeah. I don't hear you. Yeah. I say Isaac, baby number 1 is gonna call the police on you. She's gonna take your car from you and call the police. I just looked at me and said, Pop, you don't understand. That girl stole his car. Women that never did give it back. Called the police on him and said he threatened her and he's a murderer. That's how you need to come at him. Right? I had to alert the agent ahead of time to say, you know what, dude, look, I got a relationship. I'm saying, look, hey, look, he stepped in a bad one here. He's good. He's all right. But this is one of these kind of things. We're just going to have to ride it out. Right? And the agent was good. He's all right. So, you know, let me know how I can help. But I'm saying without that, he would have been toast that first time. I'm not just talking about them two. I could go on and I'm just using you. I'm going to give you a time. I'm going to give you a chance. But I'm trying to make a point about this particular population. Here's Chris right here. Chris Burke. Chris Burke used to come on. I've been with Chris now 9 or 10 years. And for the first 4 or 5 of them years, Chris would come home, go into ego, go into sex, mess around, throw his whole future away over at baby's house and go right back to the penitentiary. Is that right or wrong? Right. I'm just saying to you, I've been doing this long enough now. Just try to at least listen to me. You don't, you know,
Come on, Pop. Come on.
I just want to help somebody here tonight. You got to give yourself time to know you. I'm gonna give you the. I'll give you the exact opposite. Now, Will. I've been after Will for a long time. Because Will got a good woman. So she loved him and this and that. And so I saw that early on. And I'm thinking, son, are you but listen, that Will he would fight me back and say, Pop, Pop, I got my own process. I got my own process, Pop. And I gotta tell you, I got my own process, Pop, and I gotta follow my process. And I said, Will, I want you to follow your process, but hopefully it's gonna hurt you over. I'm just thinking the opposite of it. Here go Esau Strawberry Newman.
Oh, put it all the way out.
Who I've been with for I don't know how long. And he's a woman and it's off parole. Give him a hand. Got a senorita and going to Las Vegas to get married. Give him a hand. All of that good stuff. Look, every time Esau would come home, he would go into ego, go into sex, give the sex over to the female, and the drive the steering wheel and drive him right back to the penitentiary. Am I telling the truth or a lie?
Yeah, missed the meeting.
Oh.
I'd rather miss me.
What? Crispy drinking this. That judge right there probably would kill me. I know. But, okay, I'm wrapping up. I'm wrapping up here, and I just want to say to you, many of the people who needed to hear this message aren't here, and part of the reason is for just because what I'm seeing. Because after you get into that mode, you don't need group. You don't need your brothers, the people that got you through all them years. Say years.
Years.
Wait a minute, say it again.
Years.
Say it again.
Years.
I'm talking about years. Say years.
Years.
And the people that got you through all them years, all of a sudden, look, the memory part of the community of self is not operational. Reason, not operational. Conscience, not operational. No willpower. Gave it over to ego, which is also where the sex drive lies. And this is just my understanding. If you have an XO, I don't care what your circumstance was. It could have been, we all got our stories, and I get them all. But if you and ego, unless you are met, if you come out of single and you are SO, you need to be a year at least all by yourself. You need to be a year at least. And I'm not saying, that you have to be totally celibate, but if you're going to engage yourself, you have to be extremely careful with what you're doing, that you're not that you're not hurting someone else, that you're clear about what your intentions are, and that there's an understanding before you get into it, that this is what it is for me right now. It may, I like you. It may turn into something later, but for right now, I just want to be honest. I got to work on me. Say, I got to work on me.
I got to work on me.
Say it again.
I got to work on me.
Who you got to work on?
I got to work me.
Say, I got to work on me.
I got to work on me.
All them years. Say years.
Years.
You done spend all them years, and then come in here in 5 months or 4 months or 2 months or 2 weeks and start telling me you engaged and you up here getting ready. You ain't coming to nothing. You can't call nobody or nothing like this here. The next thing I look up, you're behind us in the penitentiary. And suddenly, when you get to the penitentiary, you remember my phone number. I'm just telling you the truth.
Come on.
Yeah.
Suddenly, you get there, you remember how to contact me. Wait a minute, if you can't talk to me ahead of time, all of a sudden you remember group on Tuesday, Pop is always there.
Yeah.
He'll call Wayne, be taking phone calls right now on Tuesday night. People trying to say, I know he's here.
Right.
And I need him. I'm like, Negro, I was here the whole time. What part of the game is this? So Who said that?
Pop, I'm chopping at the bit.
No more games. Somebody say no more games.
No
No more games.
Wait. Hold up. I want you to think about what you're gonna say before you say it. Just give you a minute. Is anybody getting help tonight? We got something, a couple other important things, but this has been burning on my heart for some months, and a couple of times I try to put it off because I don't want to put people on the spot, and I don't want to, this and that. I'm just saying something else about me that you don't know. Maybe you know, maybe you don't. I have found in prison, this is just what I have learned. Sex offenders and murderers, they are able to get along. And I couldn't understand, some of the rest of the populations always add SOs about what they did and how they did it and who they did it to and who they did it with. But guys who have committed homicide, they're not like that. Guys who have committed homicide, they understand that they have already did a thing so devastating, so deep, so absolute, so traumatic that there is no I'm sorry, nothing can take it back. And in order for a person who committed homicide to get through a prison bit and come out sane and sober, you have to make peace with judgment and all them kind of things, because people are judging you. You understand, you'll have somebody, the victim's family will come to the thing and call you out of your name and tell you all of this, what you did, and this is such a much, and all this and what's majigger, and cause you to go into convulsions because you know what they're saying is true, even though you know that one act is not really the sum total of who you are. I'm teaching good. Come on. And you know why you ain't saying that? Because the truth has got a hold of your voice right now. And sometimes when the truth has got a hold of your voice, it's trying to give you an opportunity to grow and learn from something. But I found this is the population I found that would work together, one to another, because they didn't have judgment. Like the normal population, automatically come up with all of the issues and all that judgment. Right. But what I also learned is because my sons have been there, gone so long, they just trying to get home and be able to have a time with a female. Just think about that for a minute. I admire, I wander down, I'll be thinking to myself, I'm a strong-willed brother. I don't know if I could go down like that. I just don't know. I'm just saying, I'm just telling you the truth. Right. Yeah. And so up here, I'm just trying to tell you this, and I'm gonna stop. When you come home from prison after all of those years, don't put all of your eggs in anybody's basket before you first experience yourself on the other side of the wall. That's right. I don't hear nobody. And then when you have a relationship, listen to this. You can have a romance. Huh? Look, we don't even know about that because most of us we straight from the street. We didn't know nothing about no romance. I got a bump, we gonna take a hit and we gonna do that thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't hear nobody in here. Don't be acting like it was just me. Come on now. Come on now. Hold up, Curtis, I'm coming to you. Yeah, but look, I'm gonna tell you the same thing. It's your ego. You short. You only got a little bit of time to go, and you're closer to being done than you ever been before. Here you are stuck on yourself. Here you are not being able to understand, to discern, to realize what the real stake is. And the females you're meddling with, they're not on parole. Come on, Sal, what you got? Then Curtis,
now what I want to say about what you said about ego. I don't think I was out of jail 90 days. Met the young lady up at the grocery store. Yeah. Took me home that night.
What hour was you in?
The meat hour. But anyway, I was all night. Yeah, all night. But anyway, I was over there, right? And what I'm saying about ego, Pop was telling me, slow down, man, take your time. Oh, Mike. Oh, man, I'm a grown man. And then the little chicken wing was stroking my ego at the same time. I'm a grown man. You can tell. Look here, I know how to do this, right? So Pop pushed the page. He said, you got 30 days to go. And Pop told me later, he said, I wanted to see if she really wanted you there. I got there, started drinking, going back the other way. I didn't know her trauma. Her trauma was she had a guy for 7 years to drink and put his hands on her. She said, you 3 times his size. Terrified her. I still didn't. I'm still stuck in my ego. Easy God out.
That's it.
I'm in church. My pastor even told me, she's not the one for you, but I can't tell you what to do. You're a grown man. He said, instead of you pulling her in, she's pulling you out.
Right.
I'm a grown man. My pastor now.
That's right.
I'm engaged. She proposed to me. I'm that dude.
Right.
My ego.
Right.
Until I bought somebody by the house I thought was one of my partners. And when me and her broke up, now they engaged now. Right? But my ego. Pop called me one night. He said, man, I heard that you been drinking. He said, you got 2 choices. He said, you can go to Turning Point, I'll call you PO. My ego again. I'm a grown man. Call my PO. Lord have mercy, I almost passed out the next day when she called me.
I'm gonna stop him right there, but listen what I'm look. Here, I got an assignment. Say assignment.
Assignment.
My assignment is try to save your life.
Exactly.
Now if I am a party to, it makes me an accessory. If I don't do the things I need to do to save your life. To be quite honest with you, if the PO didn't recognize that we had a relationship, and I had a relationship with the PO before him,
Yep.
she was following my lead because she would have under the old rule, she would have sent him back a long
Pop, can I
time.
say something?
Come on, hurry up.
I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna be done with it. My ego. Pop called. I said, oh, well, he just trying to hem me up, send me back to jail and all this and all that. But some brothers came and whispered in my ear. And they told me that Pop told her, I'm gonna tell you something, but you gotta give me your word that you won't send him back to jail. You won't send him back to jail. And my PO had enough confidence in him to say, okay. Now my ego and all these other people whispering in my ear, Pop trying to get you locked back up. I'm mad at Pop. Love him dearly, hurt my heart. Pop trying to get me locked back up. Why? I didn't know that he asked this woman not to lock me up before he said what he said.
Now, watch what he said. Look. So here, this is the community of self, right? And so then his senses were off, his drive was off, where he should have been in reverse, running away from Delilah. Say Delilah. That's why he's bald now. She come she knocked him for all his locks. but see that this ego, when you give ego the wheel, this is the symbolize of the wheel. When you give ego the wheel, it'll drive you off a cliff because it can't remember. See, what he just said, I could remember I just had you for 3 or 4 years in the penitentiary every Monday night and watched you go through it, singing in church, singing gospel, lifting up praise, writing poems. I remember what he forgot. Don't be mad at me, otherwise I wouldn't be no good to you. You see what I'm saying?
Amen.
But Curtis, what you got? Go ahead. Give him a hand for that. And I'm gonna tell you, when you get that, when you're able to get that honest, that's some growth right there. Something that's coming off of you. The scales are coming off your eyes right there, where you can come out and be that honest.
Right.
And I got baptized from. Oh man, give my hand. Come on, Curtis.
I want to think back, and you guys think back to
their first sexual encounter, the first time they had sex. Brother, she's a virgin, you know what I'm saying? It was an experience for her, right? She lost her virginity. So for you, you lost your mind. You never got back there. You know what I'm saying? Right? I mean, it took another level. So the point I'm making is that you underestimated the power of her. You know, I mean, she got. I say I'm every woman. It's all in me. You know, yeah, we underestimate that a lot.
Yeah.
And the need. You know what I'm saying? You need you too, but we what we call we need other people, right? And sometimes we'll say, if I only had you in my life would be different. I put you in my life, and she changed my life. No, man, you did something wrong there. You were supposed to got that correct before you met her, because now she got to be the mama and the wife.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You wasn't properly groomed and nurtured. So you want the woman to do what the mother did, and maybe she didn't have time to. You know what I'm saying? And that's a stress and a burden, man. So that's what you're fighting with. No, you got to grow up. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Before you grow old.
Come on.
Y'all don't know this song.
You wanna know something?
Say amen. I'm gonna hold you up. I want some of the women now. I want us to hear from their perspective so that we can be truly educated. Any one of the women who's hearing what we're talking about, jump in.
Well, I'm kind of dealing with relationship thing myself, and people keep on saying, I'm working on me, and it might sound selfish, but I don't have room for nobody in my space right now, and everybody, the Lord gonna send you a husband, and I'm like, I asked the Lord not to send me a husband. I'm not looking for a husband. I'm celibate, and it's been over a year, and I still am being who I am, because I gave, and I think it. I used to think all the brothers were low down that I have, but you know what? I gave them the power to be low down to me.
Come on, sis.
And it took a long time for me to realize it wasn't just them. And so when I got the first one that was low down and taught me these little things, I used to go pick up like stray dogs off the street and then make them into pit bulls. You know what I'm saying? And I can't have that kind of behavior in my life. So, I'm not down on men. I just don't. This is the first time in my life, 62 years, that I have had a car in my name, had my power in my name, had my own furniture, my own key, the only one. And down on men. I love men. I reach out to all y'all, and call y'all up, and we can go have lunch or whatever, but I just have to do me. And people have been saying that I'm selfish, but if I am, the Lord says that's all right. So,
All right, amen.
All right, go ahead. Or Cynthia or Michelle, come on.
When you think about, I've been taught on the 5 parts of self extensively, and I've taught the training on the 5 parts of self. Now today was the first time that I heard about the 7 parts that went on top of that, and I was intrigued. It stirred something in my spirit. When I think about will, first let's go back to ego. That ego was something. That's what got me in trouble. That ego, just being coming from a upper middle class family, knowing I should have been doing the right thing, but my ego and all the other things that they was doing, finger popping and all that slick stuff, it looked so good.
Yeah.
Sure, it looked like so much fun. Where's my, I don't want to go to church. I don't want to be a good girl. I want to hang with the bad girls. And that ego took me on a roller coaster of destruction.
It's real.
Not only did it this almost, the devil was trying to have it destroy me. It seared my mind. Listen, because that's what we're in now. We're in a mindset. We're in a change, a reversal mindset. It seared my mind to it had me somebody that I wasn't. It had me. It had almost taken over my whole bar. It almost had my bar. But thank God that He had a plan for me.
Amen.
And there my will came in. The Lord came in and said, girl, did you take all that crap you got on you off and let me put you in the right lane. So then I had to go back to the end of the line. Here I am, 30 years old. I got to go back to the end of the line. And then now at 60, I'm running hard, baby. I'm still pressing my way. I'm running hard. That I lost. And I use my mind now. I know who I am because of the God that I serve.
Amen.
I know who I am. But it's hard now. You know, all those things that would have came to me instantly in my 20s and 30s. I wasted all that. That's when your mind is working real good. Now I gotta read this thing 3 times. What did it say? Then I gotta ask you, what did she say? Well, help me do that. But I'm fighting. I'm still fighting.
You gotta fight.
I gotta
But you gotta go? Oh man. So you chime in, say something. Stop 1 second. 1 second. Just stop right there.
Right now, what I'm really grabbing onto about the second part is the consciousness and the memory part. Because me and Don was roommates, and we did nothing all day but get along. You know, I got the SOKC, got the 1K. But it was us communicating, not having that judgment, and remembering the teachings that we both had, in Lionel Lakes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Wow.
When I was at my worst, I didn't show up. I didn't check in. I didn't call.
Tell the truth.
Right. I didn't even give my conscience an opportunity to wake up and get right on the right path. I had to go back several times to get it right and humble myself.
Come on.
To get in the right path to follow my will.
And let me stop right there. The word humble, say humble.
Humble.
Yeah. The word humble means controlled strength.
Yes.
See, when you humble yourself, it means I could do this, but I choose not to. Right? Now I want you to get that part straight, and that's what he's saying. I took my strength under control and put it under subjection. That's what humility is. Give him some love. Let me know when y'all set a date. Okay. And so, Cynthia, Michelle.
I just have 2 small pieces. One, the ego. It doesn't just happen to men; it happens to women. It's almost more powerful with women because women are very articulate with ego and personality. But I will add that one of the most powerful things about ego is it is a camouflage for fear. This too, I learned just by my own study of self and trying to figure out, things I had control over and things I didn't. But that 7-piece girl, bam, it was like, woo. And I was like, wow, that just was really impactful for me to hear how those two went together, and I just never seen it that way. But thank you for that today. But so
give us some love. Give us some love.
I'm good.
All right. Give her a hand. She's all good.
sat in the penitentiary and I wrote down all of the names of the women that I was embarrassed. I don't have an ex-soul I'm a murder kid. But my ego drove me when I was young. My ego drove me, and that's where all those names were on the list. So, I mean, that was, and just looking at that, that was kind of embarrassing. So it's like, and I kept that sheet of paper for a long time. I put it up on my wall myself for a long, long time. And I worked through some things with that piece of paper. Yeah. I have ran into some of them, and I actually apologize.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You want? I said, nice seeing you. You know something? I remember these things back in the day in the hospital. You didn't deserve that. Yeah. You deserve it. Right. You know? Right. And I'm glad I ran into you, had the opportunity to see you. I apologize to you because you deserve more than what I gave you. Right. So I hope that it pleases you or something. Yeah. Right? So, and it's like, you know, and now it's just like, I'm not even really, I mean, I have a lady, but I'm focused on other things, you know, just trying to get my situation together so that when retirement comes around, I'll be cool. She's a good girl. She does everything for me. You know what I mean? We had a hiccup once, and I gave her, and I let her know. I love myself better than more than I love you. I love God more than I love you. So any situation like this again, I'm gone. Right. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I mean that. Yes. I'll walk away in a heartbeat. And it's not because I don't love you. Right. It's because I love you that I will walk away. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna stay in a relationship and you are undermining everything that I'm trying to do, because I'm not trying to just do it for me. Anybody who is around me benefits from that. You know? That's good. But yeah, I had that growth. I mean, that ego thing really, really hit me. I understood it perfectly because I was driven off the ego. And to be honest with you, I had no game. I never approached women. They approached me. When you start, I can finish. Right. You start, I can finish. But that was my ego fertilizer. And they gave me some of the best fertilizer they ever had.
But I like what you're saying about being true to yourself. You know, and what you really want and desire, we all do, is a partner who doesn't seek to destroy you because of her own insecurities. She could potentially be stuck in a memory about what happened with old boy. That was 12 years ago. She's still holding on. I'm a witness to that. And so we have to be able to say, no, but this is who I am. That sounded powerful, didn't it? Oh, yeah. See, this is who I am. And you gotta meet me there, and we're gonna make this thing work. But we gotta appreciate, who the other one is on their own. Yeah. Oh, wow. Somebody back here is quiet over. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to speak about the people in the memory part. Right? If you don't mind, I love this brother. I think his brother is prison. And I'm not gonna lie.
Me too.
All the time about our change. Talking about classes, what we was learning in class. And I talked to him the other day. I talk to him all the time. I told him, man, I'm kind of upset. What you mean? He said, man, you know what I mean? You're supposed to be driving me to work. You're supposed to be doing this. If you don't mind, brother, can I speak? Yeah. That's right. You let that girl drive me. And we talked about this in prison. So I made a commitment to myself. I told Larry, I said, man, get out and love yourself. At least, I told him, did I tell you that? At least a year. I said, get out and love yourself at least a year. I'm listening to Pop for 9 years. Right. I'm sitting there, I ain't had, my dad was there, but he was a pen hustler. He ain't tell me what Pops told me when I made it. So this is my Pops. My Pops know it. My mama knows it. This is my Pops. So I'm listening. I'm giving my brother, I told him, he didn't believe I love him. He said, man, nobody love me. I said, I do. And I mentioned.
And just to back that up, when we was in class, and I met him for the first time, and I heard that boy jump up and use his words. I told that boy, I said, you know what? He said, I ain't got no place. I don't know nobody. I said, no, you got a place. You're gonna be with us. Same thing you told me. But I kept my promise to you. Right. But what he's saying is you got to keep your promise to yourself.
Oh my goodness.
Let me say, I'll come back to you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so right now me and my we broke up. Because I've been at this point, but for me though, how can I say this? The environment you was talking about, I had a similar environment. My mama was a hooker. My uncle pimp. So an environment I grew up in, a woman is everything. What's a pimp without a hoe?
Yeah, well.
So
in high pursuit of a prostitute.
So I'm trying to break out of that. I'm trying to break out of that. But in my mind, it's like, in the cold part with her, it ain't even about that. But I was raised with that, so that spills off into the relationship because I handle myself at times in how I was taught to handle myself. You know what I'm saying? And that causes confusion and confliction because that reminds her of her traumatic stuff that she went through.
Go on now.
So we both done reached the same. One thing I can say good about us talking is we communicate these things. So we both have decided to pump the brakes on the relationship. Let me focus on me. Let her focus on her. Because one thing for sure and two things for certain, I'm not going to allow nobody to cause me to regress and go back to that criminal lifestyle. Seriously, what I mean. Stand on that.
All right. Good.
That was really good. We talked about that 5-part self, that 7 stuff, that's the reality. But here's another interpretation of it. Anybody that's been in this room any amount of time knows that we say to each other all the time, domestic relationship are the number one cause of men going to prison, whether you have an SO or not. We don't exclude just them, everybody. And we all can have instances and stories where we did something, we were somewhere we wasn't supposed to be, doing something we wasn't supposed to be, and could have got caught up, or someone did get caught up and sent back, right? So if you've been in that room, in this room, you know that that is serious, that is important, right? And then I'm thinking another twist to it, a little bit deeper, in this story. What are you planting in your garden? We come here every week and we throw soil, we throw fertilizer, and we throw this positivity in this ground, right? And if you throw it in the ground, I know you're expecting it to grow. You're not throwing it on rocks that ain't unfertile, you know what I mean? Unproductive, with the expectation for it to grow. If you're throwing it, in the river or somewhere else that has no sunshine, no light, it will not grow. And we know this thing. For me personally, a lot of things that we talk about in here, I still struggle with ego. Because my ego tells me some stuff that you can do that. Or she has to say this a certain kind of way. She has to do this a certain kind of way. That's that past trauma. Lazarus. You know what I mean? That's that past trauma sneaking his little insidious itself up in there. That was a liar, but they'll play you. You know what I like. That's good. Right? That's good. That's good. You gotta think about that. Good. No. Hold up. Richard, you next. Sorry, you gotta give everybody else a chance.
So putting out the 7 parts on top of the 5 parts of self, but I was thinking about it, and the ego, right? Because I can only think about me. Like I use pockets of selfish journey, right? On 2 things. I'm always really saying stuff. I'm always thinking about me. How's this fit into my life? Right? When you started talking about ego, I really started thinking about that's why I come to you, right? It keeps me grounded. It keeps me, it keeps me moving
and my car driven in the right direction. Like I know what I'm doing. Right, so I'm doing it for a reason. And it's sometimes that memory stuff does creep out. It's easy sometimes. I did almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And I cannot be honest. I'm starting to forget what that little mattress felt like.
Good.
Man. I mean, I sleep I've been sleeping
There you
for
go.
20 years now, right? And that, I know I'm not trying to like knock that experience and knock them 2 decades, right? But it just happens. It just naturally happens. That stuff atrophies, right?
Right.
So when he was saying that, I was like, man, that's so powerful because I've been through some man, I've had some kids, man. I've had some kids. Even when I'm struggling, like I got fired from jobs I love, right? And the one thing I always said, I'm happy about it. I never pulled away. No matter what was going on, I always try to make it a group, and sometimes it's hard coming to group. It's hard, like, not physically. I live about 30 minutes away. I'm just talking like mentally and emotionally sometimes, just being here, right? But I know I need to do it. This is what feeds me and stops my ego from taking over my life, right? So I'm just appreciative of this people. I know I say it every week, but it's you lay the definition of how I'm feeling. I'm just so grateful for everybody in this group. Because I can just look at folks and just think about it. But we're on that night. The walks on the yard and the regular class. Come on, man. So it's like, so when you were talking, I was just thinking about me. And my journey, right? And the ups and the downs and just how, man, this is truly like a family, right? It's truly like a family. And if nothing else, man, just don't forget.
That's good.
Yeah.
And ego. I don't know. Everybody think ego bad of me?
No.
No, I don't think
No.
We just gotta watch out for it.
Right. How we let it go.
Yeah. A lot of people up here probably know my face, know my name. It was just a business with me. But how many people really know what I was locked up for? Nobody, right? Ego. So, I got a 2013, I thought, okay. Bonded out, fought it 2 years on the street, to the trial. I had a clothing store, I had a hairline, all that was gone, just gone, when I got incarcerated, it gave 5 years. When I got incarcerated, having that okay is hard. I don't care who you are. I mean, having it is hard. I ain't have no problem with that. Yeah, I was 10 toes down, man. But having that kind of case on you, when people looking at you, when people judging you, we're not even going to speak about guilty or innocent,
right?
Or whatever that situation is, right? Having that case on you, like it brought me to a point, what I'm saying, whereas my self-esteem was all the way down to the ground, like almost everything.
Yes.
My mind, I was driving a brand new Cadillac. It's called Batman Cadillac. They just came out like that, like
Batmobiles, yes.
Yeah. And lost everything. I just said, I think God trying to tell me lose everything started. I don't know what I was going. But when I went to jail, I always try to, pick guys up and try to holler at them and say, we conversate roommates. I'm not gonna sit in here and waste my time. I'm not gonna do it. But zero.
Right.
Y'all gonna lock me up for something crazy. And I gotta sit here for all this time and waste the time. What am I gonna do with this time? Going around playing cards. I got time for that. I ain't got time for that at all. They done took everything from me. So when you said you was on that path of running, trying to catch back up to everything, I was there too. I was right there too. When I first came home, that was my mentality. Get back everything they took. Then something. They done took everything. So when I came home, I hit the ground running. My ego was all the way up there.
all the way up there. And when you got that ego mixed in with who you are and where you come from, as far as tendencies, felonies, all that stuff, that ego trickles over to other parts of your life, with your girl, your family, your kids, people in general. I'm running around with a chip on my shoulder.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you like you know what I was locked up for.
Right.
You don't like me. I don't like you either. Like I just said, nobody in this room knew I was locked up. You know, but that's just the way that I carry myself. You know, it's that ego. And like I said, that's why I started off.
Next, only
Is ego a bad thing all the time? I mean, if you can contain it and keep it equal balance, keep it equal and balanced. You know, your ego plays a part in. For me, it helped me get over some of the things that people were trying to put me down. My ego stepped in and took a couple steps up the step and said, no, you ain't gonna bring me down. I'm going up to the step.
That's right.
You understand what I'm saying? And no matter what you say, what you think, what you feel, what you heard, how you looking, at the end of the day, guess what? I just sit right here and pay it. Ain't nobody paying my bills but me. Ain't nobody looking out for my kids but me. But at the end of the day, bottom of the story for me is the ego. They took everything from me. I feel like I need to come home and get it back. And y'all know when somebody talk, I'm always looking at somebody's face. It's kind of hard for me to keep my head up right now because, you know, I never want to be judged. You know, I never want people, no matter what my story is, you know, no matter what my story is, you know, I don't nobody want to be judged. You know, and like I told my PO a long time ago, I said, you know what? Nobody wake up and say, oh, nobody wake up and say, I've been doing that. Nobody wake up and say, I'm gonna get beat up on bus. Nobody wake up and say this. No man here without a sex okay is sitting here saying, when I wake up, this girl gonna say I did something to her.
Exactly. Yep.
Or when I get up tomorrow, I'm gonna have an accident on the expressway. When I was thinking about going to work, drinking that coffee, eating that donut, and chopping it up with dudes who I'm cool with at work. You weren't thinking about getting into no accident. So what Pop was saying earlier about, you know, people judging people, it's more so like I'm a living example, man. Like, don't think that things can't happen. You can wake up tomorrow and something can happen to you. You can wake up tomorrow and something can happen to you, and you never expected, never called for it, never asked for it, never did anything to deserve it. It can wake up and hit you in your face. And experience. Experience is something totally different. You have to go through experience. When you said you have to, you know, all the time that you left, you know, when you was in your 20s and 30s, you trying to catch back up. Don't feel bad about that, because if we knew then what we knew now, as we always say, if I knew then what I knew, if I knew now what I knew then, I'd be okay. But without our experience, we wouldn't know what we know. So we have to go through some things to get to what we and to know what we know, to make them our experience.
That's right. That's good. I think that's the longest Sherrod ever went. I couldn't pull it back because you know I wanted to get his role completely out. You know what I mean? I love that, man. Wow. And I love that something in this group tonight caused that to come out of you.
Amen.
I love that. That's what this is about.
I cannot go anywhere without seeing you. Even though I didn't have, that's okay. All that stuff that I did, I could have. So I could never, ever judge anybody on anything.
Yeah, right. I'm just saying, I was a sex offender, but I never got caught for it. You know what I mean? I mean, notorious, say notorious. Dick Dastardly, say Dick Dastardly. Yeah, I'm just
going way back.
Yeah, I'm just saying. And you know, oh my goodness, when I think of the goodness of but look what up. Register. Look, yeah, I might have to register. You know, I ain't the same now. I tell you the truth. Now I don't care. You know, but what I want to share with you though, about what Sherrod was saying. This is so powerful. Chris, you got to hold 1 second. you know what? He said something, you know, anything can happen. And you wake up. Well, you know, something happened in here to one of our pop guys, just like what you said. And it's some devastating news. And Dex, 3 years ago, he lost Pam. And you know, they was like 2 peas in a bucket. And him and Pam would be sitting right here in group together.
Yep.
And Dex stayed with Pam all the way to the end, but she passed. But then a year later, Dex lost his son, who looked almost just like him. Some of us was there at the home birth. But just the other day, Dex lost his sister. So his daughter, I mean, and sorry. And I was gonna send it to him and just tell us how you feel, where you at.
Well, going through my thoughts, I think empathy kind of stay alert and more confident with my children, my family, like I've been staying busy. I wonder what that kind of was tonight. Just trying to stay focused and positive. I think it was a bad feeling. First, I think I was pretty bounce a little bit more. So I think we passed it up and over there. So I'm my mom's going crazy.
Where's she at?
Scotland. So we're gonna get up there. Help the fundraise for the film and stuff. So there's a ripple all over I'm kind of I know God has a better plan. Right. He held me up. Other than that, I wouldn't do it. I could have been out there drinking. I'm there. Phone call, I stay in contact with my job. I just take off after that.
Right.
Keep on that.
Let me say that to y'all who don't know, Dr. Webb had called me and said they needed somebody to do janitorial services at the church. Dex is somebody who I thought about because he's so true blue, he's loyal, and I love that about him. Loyalty is a quality I have, that quality, and I admire it in other people. And Dex, watch this. Not only did Dex go out there and meet Dr. Webb and he got the job at the church, but then he facilitated Patrick Nunn sliding into the job that Dexter just quit at Bonnie and Steve over there as the cookies. Dexter used his credibility to slide Pat Nunn in to that job. And all came out of here. All of that stuff came out of this. But what do you know when the funeral is going to be?
Well, we can anything. I'm probably going to leave out this thing. They're giving us all the fundraising stuff and other stuff. I'm trying to get it very
So you got, we gonna help out. I don't know what it's gonna be like the second, but we're gonna help out. If y'all got a $5 bill or something like that, you want to throw up on the table. Just feel free to do it because
I got my son here with me. I got one son that's still here with me too.
So just slide up or something, you know what I mean? You got cash up? Just slide it up right here, throw it up on the table. If you got anything, just throw it up. Just throw it up right here. And you know what we're doing, we can't cover everything, for everybody. But we are the help, so we are the help. We are the help. And we've been waiting for it. We've been waiting for it. Nobody else is coming.
Nobody else is coming.
Yeah. And so this is what we got to do. Hold up. Let me go right. Okay. Hold up. So pass that on up here. The money is coming. Anybody else want to put in something? Okay. Okay. Well, watch this. Curtis is sending something. Look at my brother Curtis here sending him something down. Come on now, send it. Just drop it in here. Put all that money in. Just pick it up and put it in there.
Put that in. We're just trying to give him some love right there.
This ain't the song of it all. We get the prize. I put a little change.
God bless you. God bless you. That's right. God bless you. That's it. That's it. Thank you, sir.
And tell
Give
us
Sal
your
a blessing right there. Hold up. Give Sal a blessing.
Please give us your cash app. Because we probably gave what we have now, and we probably would have more later on, but we need to know where to send it to.
Okay, thank you. They're doing it right now. And then I have Wayne to, once they figure it out, I have Wayne to send it out to people who are interested in it. He lost his daughter, and I don't even know what I would do in this scenario like that. But I certainly, hey Dex, I just want you to hear me say this. Excuse me, everybody. Excuse me. But I'm really proud of Dexter for the man who he has become.
Yeah.
And, you know, it says, if somebody said, you know, God won't give you more than you can handle. That's a pretty powerful statement sometimes.
Right.
But we just gonna go on the strength of His goodness right now. Man. And we just want to send you our love here, man. We love you in this room. I love you myself. Give me some love. Give me more love. We're gonna get out of here. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I want to do it right now. Okay.
Yeah, right.
All right. So, Pops, you know the rental systems I was talking about.
Yeah.
Starting back up. I'm gonna put a few of these on the sheets. I mean, on the desk, so y'all can read about them. But what I'm doing is for the first couple weeks, I'm only dealing with pop guys. Right? I didn't hire anyone yet. I'm dealing just with pop guys in your family. So if you know anyone that's late on their rent, 12 months back, 3 months forward, but they got to be late rent to get the rent forward. Okay. All right. There's a number on here. There's one on here. Call me. We'll talk. That's it. But it's rental assistance through the state. It's on the up and up. There's really no rush. It's for the rest of the year. So we're gonna have to run and do it. But let's get this going. Okay.
All right.
All right. That's it. Thank you.
All right. Richard did a good job with that. Richard and Donald and Rhea and others, you know, all did a good job. Give them a hand.
Papa had something to say, but if I say something out of the room.
Okay, so hold that.
God
Hold
hold
it
it
next
next
time.
week.
But Chris, I want to get you in there, Chris and Chris. So go ahead.
So one of the things that just recently just happened, for me about my ego is one of the former coworkers decided to send.
Chris, don't.
But regardless, ego has been a big problem for me. I chose to be a people pleaser in my past. Since I originally got out, I should say pretty much all my life, all the way up to 2017, end of 2017, where I decided to focus on myself. Originally, I had to be in a relationship. I had to be codependent.
Right.
This recent time, I switched from being codependent to being independent.
All right.
And it took me, even though I rekindled a relationship from my past with my kids' mom just recently, it took me, I would say, over 2 years to finally get back on the horse into a relationship, because I wasn't ready to put some attention into somebody else except for myself. And it took a lot of hard work on my part to focus on myself, to get myself together, get my priorities in line, remain free from going back to prison, and I'm almost off of paper.
That's right. That's right.
In about 3 months.
3 months. Come on.
I did some hard work. Pretty much in my son's life, pretty much every day.
You are every day.
Amen.
Give him a hand for that.
I've never thought I would be a supervisor or a supervisor role at work. And I per se. I train all the new drivers coming in. Obviously, recently just asked about that. So I love driving tow truck. I love driving period. So I just love it. I love my life, who I am today.
That's good. That's good. I gotta get everybody.
Okay.
Come on.
Well,
Fresh, you gonna be the last one.
last thing, I'll just start with the ego part. It was like a whole bunch of parts that it just sums up the whole thing. But me and my son was talking about this kind of same conversation last night. But for ego, for me, I agree it can be a good thing or a bad thing. For me, I can't give my ego no room at all. Period. If you guys remember, a lot of times when I first started coming in, I was talking about I had to give myself permission to do the right thing. Because my ego, but and I had to put the fire out of them too. That's why some of the stuff that I talked about early on seemed like real childish, but that was because it was my ego trying to sneak in on them and try to be able to do some things that then get me off my square.
Right.
But then in the pop group, put that fire out. I had to speak it, and then y'all stump that fire out. Get that out of here. That don't even make sense. So I appreciate that. But then as far as the lesson, you spoke about it, but like dressing up stuff that like no earthly good stuff. Living a life of no earthly good, but I had it all dressed up, made it look good, but it was really I was living no earthly good, and I knew that. But I was telling my son, when you be doing stuff for no earthly good for so long, when you just start getting on the level, it look like you're doing some real great stuff. But really, I'm just being on a level now. I ain't like I'm doing nothing terrific.
Right.
I'm just doing stuff on the level.
Right.
But you thinking I'm doing a good job, but I'm really
I get that.
just being on the level.
Right.
And then the last part is this. Is like as far as like coming to the group on Tuesday, and sometimes be a struggle. You talk to yourself, and then the ego gets in my head.
Right.
Like, man, I got like 4 cuts for a haircut today.
Yeah, right.
A couple of them is pop guys.
Yeah.
Want me to miss the meeting, the custom guys, because they got to make some moves, right? Right, but I say, well, okay, yeah, I can go make, my ego say, I got to get this money. Really, the real money is my time, right? So that money that's just a little money. If I come here to that meeting and network around the real money, spend my time around the real money. This here is the real money. This right here. What's the money right here? It's $1,000. I just came and got $1,000. I just got
Was just showing up.
Just showing up.
He holding up the rent piece.
Right.
And also, on the 14th here, we're doing vaccines. So if you know somebody, get them to Wayne. And my expectation is y'all becoming ambassadors because y'all have been vaccinated. And now you got to find somebody else. So we got 50 doses here. Anybody you want to get vaccinated, it can come. So empower yourself to get with it. Y'all, I'm gonna say this one thing. I'm gonna pass it. Y'all see the new virus from India? Look, it's killing thousands per day. And look, now they done found it. They done found it in Michigan. They done found it in Arkansas. So I mean, this is the stuff that's. If you don't have any vaccine in you at all, I'm telling you, you could be fine one day and the next day
gone.
Esau, who left out of here, you know how quick his father left. Now, he was a healthy guy. Anyway, I just want to let you know that. But I want Doug to come. Hey, Pop, I'm not driving. Can I get a prayer? You can get a prayer. Go ahead, so you go right now. 14. Right. You coming? 14? Yeah. Then you got to tell Wayne and put him on the list. Go ahead, Doug. What you got?
Doug, you fresh, pop back.
Good.
I want to kind of
put things into perspective for me is that, as far as the ego went, is that when I finally was put in prison for after all my bad deeds and my behavior, I was at the lowest point in my life, and I had no ego, I had no pride, I had nothing. I was just a lost soul, day to day, and nothing. I just didn't know which way was up. I joined the pop group, and you guys have heard my story many times from there. And what it would, I didn't even know what pride was when I got this low. It just, I didn't deserve anything. I didn't deserve the good life. I didn't think I was powerful. I didn't think I was lovable. Nothing. I was the scum of the earth. And I wasn't feeling sorry for myself, but I just knew the dirt that I had done and the things I had done to people is that I didn't deserve anything. And where I've come to today is that with the 5 parts of life is that, you know, the environment had changed me into a person that was vulgar, and, you know, most people wouldn't even give me a second look for the things that I perceived myself. And now my ego is a positive for me because I'm so grateful for what I do have for today, what I have, how far I've become, the people in this room that keep me going. You know, I guess the ego that I do kind of fight with is that, you know, I've missed the last few weeks and for whatever reason, but I knew better. And I fought with myself and I get down on myself for not coming, but as how, you know, that ego thing was nipping at me saying, you know, whatever the reason came up is that, oh, you can go next week, you do it. But and then I had to take a step back is that I need this group. This is my tune up every week. This is my motor oil, the high performance, you know, gasoline that keeps me going. You know, on a high octane at a level that I take to my job, to my family, to my home, to everything that I do, and I have a pride that is glowing, pop guys.
Yeah.
And I tell everybody that will listen.
That's right.
And it's hard to explain. I would love to bring everybody that asks me about this group, if I could bring them. And because I can't explain it. It's just that, you know, Pop, you were saying earlier about when you walk into a room and there's friction, you can feel it. But you walk into this room and it's love and it's positivity and it makes people want to be here. That's what I get from this. And it strokes me, not strokes it, but it fuels my ego to be the best person I could be.
That's real. That's well said, man. Homeowner down there talking. So Selma right here, I purposely make him wait so he could hear everything and then digest it. So now what you got, bro?
So I would just say, everyone knows that I'm not having been incarcerated, but I have family been incarcerated. My brother's been incarcerated, just feeling the throw in the environment. You see, my mom was really in my head, like, don't be like that. You know, his mama said, you know, my mom was like, don't be like that. And you see what goes on, like, even if he was locked up, his mama passed away. My dad had to come give him the news. He had cried, he had stayed. Or going to the funeral, it was like, the last time you saw your mama was like, what, 4 or 5 years ago. You can't go to see her off. He just kind of had that mindset. So to go back to the ego, I just kind of had started changing the ego, like, I'm better than you. You know what I'm saying? I can do what I want to. I ain't even locked up, like a record on me, but I'm better. To come to this group, you realize I ain't no better than nobody. I'm just like everybody else. You know what I'm saying? I can't. And I started like, what makes me better? I'm a good person. Great people in here right now. Absolutely. I care about people. I don't do nothing wrong. We all make mistakes. That's right. I just ain't got cold. That's right. I just ain't get comfortable. You know what I'm telling the truth. So this group kind of helped me bring myself back together, like more humble, and you realize that I ain't no better than nobody just because I ain't get caught. I'm just
you know, he several say I was sneaky. Give sneaky hand. I just, you know, see all of a sudden he started coming and
You know, we can't shake him. No, we can't. You know what I mean? That's gonna be. You know, he's here. So you know, give a pop guy a big round. Hold up, Tyler, show me, you got something?
I'm good.
Tyler, did you just agree to take the shot? Yes, sir. Give him a big old hand.
Yeah.
Let me just tell you, no plane is going to South Africa if you don't produce that.
He can't go visit nobody.
You stuck. Wait a minute, look, you stuck over north if you don't get that. Somebody say north side.
North side. Y'all said that like y'all been over there.
Okay, so DeAndre, you done heard it all, so
Yes, sir.
what you got?
Oh man, the ego, baby. Yeah. Man, the ego had me on like a 2-week chaotic journey with narcotics.
Hmm.
Yeah, man. You know, not you know, it's been lonely, man, with the pandemic, and you know the limited amount of time I can move around. So I always go to the things that I should be running from. You know, and I try to help somebody and bring them in, and but I know what they do, and right down deep inside I wanted to do it too, but you dig, I couldn't. I need some help to be just messed up. You know, that's just true. And yeah, I've been through it, Jack. Sold my computer, had to go back and get my computer back. Man, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? My grandma, she bought me that computer, man. You know what I'm saying? And I gave that computer away, you know, so I can get out. Yeah, hang out with people I don't need to be hanging out with. And overdraft my car. I'm talking about, man, I ain't never did this before. So the pandemic and being isolated and being a man of color who don't really believe in a lot of the pop psychology that's so much put out here, man. Some of that stuff you got to kind of consider,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because you know I know everything, you know, I know it all. So yeah, man. So I jeopardized, man, my rent. I jeopardized uh, friendships. I made victims. I mean, I'm talking about I made victims. You don't always have to be harmed physically for you to make a victim. Uh, I took advantage of a lot of people's love for them narcotics. Um, and that's and I'm ashamed, man, because you know I know better. Then it's hard to tell people about it. But you know, as soon as I do something in the universe, as soon as I started doing it, the PO said, I'm on UA.
Wow.
She said, you know what? You she said she called me leaving out of the house. Oh man, I lied. Man, you know, I put it down, man. Southside Chicago, you dig, and it was, you know, that I had to do this. And she's like, okay, I ain't gonna, I'm gonna let you go. I said, all right. I mean, I knew it wasn't over. But you know what, man? I was so glad. Man, I'm so glad to see that lady. Ain't that crazy?
Mm-hmm. I know you feel.
Man, I'm so glad to see her, man, because it was hard to stop.
Yeah.
It's been hard, man. It was hard to stop, man. It's hard. Yeah. So,
I'm checking myself, man. You know, I'm finna stop not calling people and tell them what's going on, man, because I think I can do everything by myself. I've been on my own since I was 11. You know, I think I can do it, and I can't, man. I can't. It's hard to tell people the bad stuff about yourself, man. You know, people. I don't know what. You know, I don't know. You know, you can't. But I do trust this group. Somebody said it well, man. I come here, man, because man, I can say anything. I don't care how hard it is. I don't care how messed up it is. Uh, you know, and I feel real bad, but it also feels so good to get that up out of there and say something. If I don't say that right now, I'm gonna go get high.
Yes.
That's the truth.
Absolutely.
Let me grab you right there, but you know, we've been talking, and I wanted D to sit and be the last one. I wanted him to hear everybody, so that we can clear a path for him to tell his truth. We got just a few months to go to be completely done.
Oh, praise God.
It's not worth throwing in the towel just yet. You got to give yourself another chance. Yeah. So on that note, each one of us have to give ourselves another chance to be better than we were yesterday, better tomorrow than we were today. You know, DeAndre's a smart brother, but when you let ego be the driver of your car, all your good sense is going over the cliff with everybody else. I don't hear nobody in here.
Amen.
I just want to say something real fast.
Come on.
Man, that was just so powerful for you to come out, you know, and say it and realize, you know, because it's so hard to hold that in and stay trapped. You know, and tell yourself that you condemn yourself. So I'm sorry, brother.
Yeah, that's good. Give him some love. Give him some love.
I just got to say, Winston-Salem College, Virginia.
All right.
All right.
So I was at his graduation when he got his associate's degree, and he graduated with high honors.
Stain, I want to say something though. My church has asked me to speak on Father's Day about the definition of a man.
Father, we're just going to offer a little prayer here for Dexter and for DeAndre. And Father, thank you so much for this space.
Thank you, Lord.
Yes. What a sweet spirit in this place. We thank you for all the truth that came out and all the truth that's yet to come. Father, we thank you for Dexter Harper, your son, our brother, a good father, a man who loves his children. We ask you for traveling mercies, Lord, as he goes over the road to support his mother and his daughter and the rest of his family. Father, just bless him, Father. Let the pathway be easy for him and his wife. She's a good girl and she supports him 1,000%, and we want to lift her up too. Mrs. Harper is a fine expression for your masculinity. And we just allow this, Lord, allow your praise and your blessing to fall down on us like the dew falls on the grass.
Yes, Lord.
Bless us now, Father, as we do.
Yes, Lord.
And Lord, we pressing in for DeAndre Robinson, Lord, your son. Big banky baby, he needs you. He needs you, Father. And each one of us do too. And Father, we ask right now that you would just, with the swiftness of your breath, that you would blow that thing completely out of his body right now. In Jesus' precious and mighty name. Give him the will that you birthed him with to make the decisions that he knows he needs to make. And bless us as we go.
In Jesus' name. Amen. I will balance my family values with my goals. I will exercise wisdom what I choose to eat, read, and do. I will strive to make all my relationships win-win, no deal. I will under every circumstance maintain a positive attitude. Take that dope out of my mouth. I will enjoy life. A sense of humor. Taking advantage of opportunity. Learning from my misfortunes. By taking that dope out of my mouth. I will act upon circumstances rather than have them act upon me. I will on a daily basis be proactive with my goals. Getting off parole. It's one of my goals. I got to take that dope out of my mouth. Help me, Lord. I will always protect my wisdom, my health, and my happiness. I will stay principle centered. Just think about that. And maintain a positive circle of influence. I will daily learn, commit, and do. I will act according to the POP Leadership Institute. And be productive in my community. And my private life. Take that dope out of my mouth. All right, now give somebody a hug in here and help clean up.